Hi there, it's Jessie. Off. What have I done? There we go. Um, all right, guys, welcome. Hi, thank you very much for being here. I hope this finds you well. I have self-diagnosed myself, and it's brought about an awful amount of inner child healing. And it's beautiful, so I'm going to share it. So I have self-diagnosed myself as high-functioning autistic. And I know what you're thinking. Maybe you're rolling your eyes. Maybe you're like, oh, here we go. Why do we feel the need to diagnose? We're all on the spectrum, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let me tell you how it happened. The algorithms started sending me a whole load of like ADHD and autism videos and reels. I was just like bombarded with it. And I started to recognize myself in a lot of it. And this has happened before. About a few years ago, I did the same thing, self-diagnosed myself, told my family and friends as a means to justify, I guess, my weirdness. And my response was much the same, like, Jessie, no, you don't. Like, what are you talking about? They're just trauma responses, all of this. So I kind of just let it go. And then it came back to my reality, right? And there's this one girl who was on the TV show Love on the Spectrum. Now she's written a book. I don't know her name. I'm sorry. But all her videos are really, really helping me because she's autistic and she also is a therapist and she teaches people about autism and how to help people deal with people with autism. And in all of her videos, I'm like, I do that. Oh my God, that's me. Oh, what? And okay, so I decided to take an autism test. Free online, okay, not official. I mean, it's called like autismtest.com. You can check it out. And on all of these things, there's like strongly agree or strongly disagree, right? And you got to put yourself where you are. And what I noticed in like so many of them is where in the past I would have been strongly agree or strongly disagree. Now I'm slightly, because I've learned and I've trained myself to behave in ways that are more socially acceptable, right? So one of the things was like, do you look people in the eye when you're talking to them? I've learned to. I remember being a kid and being told by adults to look people in the eye when they're talking to you. And I remember thinking as a kid, I don't want to look them in the eye. I remember really thinking like, it was like, I really don't want to look them in the eye. But I was told to, right? So I just learned that's what you do. And then I remember looking at people in the eyes. And I remember my drama teacher looking in her eyes while she was talking to us all. And I remember doing this weird thing because I didn't want to look her in the eyes. So I remember doing this weird thing with my eyes. And then she was like, what are you doing with your eyes? And then I remember in that moment being like, fucking hell, I can't win. Look them in the eye. You look them in the eye and then they say, why are you looking at me like that? Right? Now, the reason, so anyway, I'm doing this test and I keep seeing like, oh, yeah, well, I've trained myself to do that. I think my obsession, right, because a lot of autistic people get obsessed with things, and my obsession is human behavior. My obsession is why. Why do you behave like that? Why do I behave like that? Why did we say that? Why do we do that? Why? And my whole obsession with knowing why everyone's doing everything they do is so that I can learn it and repeat it. And I can show up like a human being, like everyone's expecting. But I'm a fucking weirdo. I'm not like a normal bloody human. Is anyone? Is anyone? And maybe this is what people mean when they say we're all on the spectrum. Maybe it's just about expression, freedom of expression. So I'm doing it and I absolutely break down in tears. I'm sobbing with this self-diagnosis, this acceptance of, oh, I'm okay as I am. I honestly can't tell you how much it touched me. I felt like I had met and integrated a part of myself that I'd totally rejected. Like totally. I was holding her like, oh my God, welcome home. And like now I can learn how to look after you. Oh, and so it was so meaningful, and that's what makes me think there's truth to it, whether the diagnosis is necessary or not. What I'm saying is it's brought me an awful amount of peace, inner peace, and acceptance of myself, of being a weirdo. It's like a permission slip to be a weirdo. And I can't tell you, like, the billions of memories that are coming back from my whole life. I'm talking adult life too, right? But childhood up until now, of all the times where I can now explain it with this self-diagnosis, right? So people have told me that I'm being weird. And I've been like, am I weird? Like, what is it? What is it that's weird? I can go back to every single one of those moments and just whisper into my ear, babe, you're not weird. I mean, you are, but you're fine to be weird. If people don't understand the behavior, I'm just going back like, babe, they don't understand. There's nothing wrong with you. If you don't want to look people in the eye, that's okay. If you look people in the eye and do weird stuff and they don't know what you're doing, that's okay. If people think you're weird, it's okay. If you have emotional meltdowns as an adult, it's okay. Everything, it's like, it's so fucking healing, man. So, yeah. I'm convinced. I've always been very direct and like not really sort of read between the lines, but I've learned extremely well about how people communicate. And the other thing, because a big thing with autistic people is they don't know like how to make friends very well. Like they sort of tend to go quite childlike into it, like, okay, we're friends. And I have definitely done this my whole life. And people don't like it. The people don't like it if you meet them and you're like, you want to be friends? Some people do. Not everyone, though. And so I've learned, like, okay, don't come on too strong. And I've learned all the social cues. And another thing I've observed about myself is because of this, like, insatiable need to belong and fit in and be accepted by others, even though I'm an absolute weirdo, is I neglected and rejected this part of myself that is totally free. Actually, and happy. Imagine. Oh, and I've noticed that I tend to mirror. Okay, so if somebody comes up to me like very direct and frank, I will be very direct and frank with them. If somebody comes at me with like slightly passive aggressive, like more covert behavior, I will respond with passive aggressive covert behavior because I'm like, that's how they communicate. I just for better or for worse, because now I'm realizing, and actually, like, as I've gone along the way, it has been a little bit more, I can show up authentically. I don't have to mirror their behavior, but it's very subtle and it's very ingrained in me. And I've noticed, like, yeah, whatever behavior people come at me with, I'll just be like, well, this is how they communicate, so better do it in the same way. And then it feels a bit weird when it's not sort of authentic and direct and honest, which is who I genuinely am. And I find myself doing things and I'm like, what am I doing? And now I'm like, oh, I'm communicating with them the way they're communicating with me because it's the only way I think that I'll get through to them. So it's funny because I've chosen this one, right? And it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying the diagnosis has brought so much peace to me. But it could be ADHD. You know, people have told me that before. You've got ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD. And then I like got all into that. And it was the one thing with these diagnoses is I don't think we should use them as an excuse. I mean, at least if I'm high functioning, right? So it's much easier for me. I have verbal communication like very well and I can mirror and mask but it's just, you know, I just see a lot with ADHD like, well, I can't help it, I've got ADHD. And it's like, but you can learn how to manage the symptoms, you can learn how to heal. And so I would never want to use it as an excuse, just only if it's serving. And my God, is it? You know, so many things, like when you do this with your ears, I used to do that all the time as a kid. Or like there's this thing called stimming. I think that's stimming as well. But like when you like eat something good, you're excited, your hands move. For me, it's my toes. They wiggle like crazy. And now when they do it, I'm like, yeah, you can do that. You don't have to not do that to be normal. Normal. The myth of normal. That's a book, isn't it? Is that Gabor Mate? Who's that? Anyway. Anyone else high functioning autistic? Oh yeah, what I wanted to say is because there's like, so I get all these things of like ADHD, and then like autism. And then the other day I got one called ADHD, which is not a mix of the two, but this woman was late diagnosed with high functioning autism and ADHD in her adult life. Psychotherapist, psychologist, scientist, neuroscientist, I believe, and has now sort of created a new diagnosis which she calls ADHD. So I need to look into that and see if I would like to self-diagnose myself with that for the purpose of healing and self-acceptance. What do you think? Thoughts? I will leave it there. So if you like the video, please like it. Do let us know your thoughts down below. Is this totally crazy? Or does it make a lot of sense to you? And if you're completely new and you like this content for whatever reason, hit subscribe and we'll see you in the next video. Right, guys, have a beautiful day, beautiful life. We have got this. Mwah.